I would highly suggest that you get there sooner, because the sooner you get there, the better the get. VIP reception starts at 6 o'clock, and we are privileged to have in studio with us, not in studio with us, I'm sorry, in the building with us. Mike is doing his own show, 8-9 The Answer, and Hugh Hewitt will be in tonight. Both of those gentlemen will join me on stage early. You'll hear from Congressman Mike Carey, from Senator Bernie Moreno. He will be our final interview. Ohio Auditor Keith Faber, Attorney General Dave Yost, Secretary of State. Great night, and it's not too late to get tickets. So if you are interested in getting tickets, you can do answer.com. We start with the news of the day, and that is that the two people responsible for the dangerous pit bulls that killed a year-old woman in Asheville on late Thursday, them have been charged, and this is a failure of system in Pickaway County, because there was ample advance warning that these have been put down a long time ago. This just should not happen. I mean, there's just no excuse for this. And beyond the man who owned the dogs and his 61-year-old mother have been charged, somebody should have to answer for how this situation was allowed to fall through the cracks. Eckelbarger, a grandmother, a attender of South Bloomfield Methodist Church, a longtime financialist for Nationwide Insurance, more than 3 decades there, loved decorating cake and supporting her children's activities, a longtime blood donor who earned a 50 gallon for donating blood. So I don't want you to skip over her life. What matters, the people who did not obey the law, about their fellow man, they are the ones to be scorned in this. And his mother, Suzanne Ann Withard, should both spend a long time in prison, both of them. At the apartment complex tell the Columbus Dispatch, we've been trying to get them, the pit bulls, out of here for some time. We filed an injunction against them because they bit so many people. Gone by now. The dog warden knows about them. I thought they were going to come with a court order, but I guess not. The 2 pit bulls were shot to death by police. They killed another dog, raging attack, that Thursday afternoon. And listen to the number of times the warning bells were sounded and nobody paid attention to this. October of 2020, Withers, again, his first name is Adam. October 2023, cited for failure to confine his dog, was waived. 2 months later, cited for not complying with the dangerous dog restriction. In May, dog warden violations of Ohio's dangerous dog laws. The condo association where he lived sued against him in April to force removal of the dogs. And they say 2 pit bull terriers dating back to 2015, 9 years. 9 years. And yet, because no one acted on this, nobody took it seriously, is dead. And her husband is in a wheelchair. She was caring for him. So what becomes of certainly will put a burden on family members if they're the ones who take care of him. Inexcusable. This is utterly indefensible and inexcusable. 2015, 2017, 2020, and twice in 2021, the homeowners notices to the Withers warning them to keep their dogs on leashes at all times when outside. 7th warning, 7th, they began fining the mother and who owned the dogs. The fines were $25. Oh, and then they went up. Wow. And they ignored the fines. The condo association terminated Adam Withers' right to keep the animals, sought more than $1,800. This was supposed to go to trial in November. Of course, Mr. Withers is going to go to trial. As There's also a civil lawsuit against them filed back in September by a woman who, and her dog was also attacked by these two. This is egregious. And I would hope somebody, whoever represents Pickaway County in the legislature, can't think of his name, Brian Stewart. I think it's Brian Stewart. I would hope upon this and lead the charge to stiffen the attack, Ohio, for people who keep these. Pit bulls should not be allowed to exist. They shouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm speaking truth. I never apologize for speaking truth. Pit bulls are vicious. They're unpredictable. Cause this kind of damage more often than not. It's almost always a pit bull doing this kind of thing. Of them, I don't care if you tell me how sweet they are. They are a flawed, and they have the capacity to maim and wreak all kinds of havoc. Speaking all kinds of havoc, another story that was seemingly unrelated, but one over with news, I thought I would rejoice in this good news with you. Willingly faithful audience, you and I should both rejoice today that the Reverend Tim, who the Dispatch labels a pillar in local social justice efforts, yesterday. Mr. Ahrens, the 68-year-old pastor of the First United Church of Christ. Boy, oh boy, I bet that is so deep to have his name mentioned in association with Tim Ahrens. Delivered his final sermon in almost 25 years at the church. Well, hallelujah. He doesn't have any more influence over the many of whom he has led astray with his utter nonsense social justice devotion. Let me just tell you, Jesus did not come to end poverty, did not come to enact social justice. Jesus came to save sinners, restore them to the Father through the sacrifice Christ made at the cross. And it's very interesting, very telling, and not surprising one in the 2-page printout of Tim Ahrens' retirement, when he reflects upon his career, all the fancy robes and things he wore just like a Pharisee, that nowhere about the past or the future of his life does he ever once mention Christ or his efforts to bring people to authentic faith in Christ. Not one, not once. Contrast Tim Ahrens, Bishop Donald Washington of Mount Hermon Baptist Church, served his church years. What's on the mind of Bishop Donald Washington? My job is to preach the word of God and let God do the healing. I pray every day that the Lord, these young preachers understand what's important is making sure there's a place of refuge for people to come in anytime. There's a man who's on mission. He'll be on mission in retirement, just like he was on mission in the pulpit. I've never heard either one of these gentlemen speak, but I can tell you from the fact that that on the mind of Bishop Washington, and that it was nowhere in things, and that tells you everything you need to know. Their humility, about their effectiveness in pastoring their parishioners in a way that is in accord with the Word of God. So good riddance, Ahrens. I hope your influence, which I'm sure you'll be heard from again, and I'm sure it'll be the utter nonsense that you've spouted ever since I became aware of your existence. And I just pray that the people that you have led astray, trying to get them to works, is something that will have no impact. A heretic. You are someone who is not fit to stand behind a pulpit and purport to represent the word of Jesus Christ. And that has been clear in everything that you have done that I'm familiar with in your ministry. There is the demonic people at the Columbus Dispatch exalt. You are the epitome, Tim Ahrens, of someone who does for praise from men, not from God. And I am glad that you are pastorate of this city, because the city and its people, with your influence being gone.
Hey, afternoon high today, 81. Partly cloudy tonight, low 55. A mix of clouds tomorrow, high 77. Clear to partly cloudy for tomorrow evening, low 42. Thursday, the high 64. Partly sunny, warmer. Showers in the area on Friday. Sun and clouds and a cooler day on Saturday. High Saturday 62. 89 FM, The Answer.
The socialists want to move in a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food. And this could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched. Fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you spent decades building your act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why America the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify info kit for my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial. Prepare with the number 989898 for your free info kit. The only gold company I trust.
Planning for retirement is no small task. To start, join Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group every Saturday at 10 and 2 Ready, Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course. Saturday at 10 and 2, Retire Ready, Ohio, with Rodney Peters. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Peters Wealth Group, a state registered.
Just how liberal is Sherrod Brown? Take a look at his actual vote. Debbie from the Cleveland area did.
I thought I knew Sherrod Brown. Now I hear he's... So I went and looked at his votes. Brown voted to allow late-term partial birth abortion. The AMA said it should be banned, but Sherrod voted for it more than once.
Sherrod Brown voted for partial birth abortion 6 different times.
Partial birth, allowing trans biological men in girls' locker rooms and girls' sports, surgery for kids. He seemed like a good guy, but with Brown's voting record, I just...
Brown has let us down. When you look at his actual votes, Sherrod is way too liberal for Ohio. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
The Caribbean is calling. Dennis Prager here, and I invite you to join me on a Caribbean cruise this. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. Cruise the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba. Stroll through Curaçao's iconic pastel-colored shops and snorkel in Bonaire's. You'll enjoy some of the most delicious cuisine aboard Holland America's fantastic destination itself. This ship with riveting shows and breathtaking. We'll be joined by a special guest, Sean McDowell, and we'll both share fresh insight, dialogue on religion, current events, happiness, and our future in America in life. November 29 to December 8th. Secure your spot today by calling 855-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Most people that I know like free stuff. If you like free stuff, pain, and you could find out whether or not you could get out of pain and it wouldn't cost you anything to get the answer, well, then you should go to the free, no obligation consultation with the UC Kinetics. The clinic in Dublin, the clinic in Gehenna, both offer you a free consultation in advanced regenerative therapies. I know it sounds complicated, but it really has the capacity to heal itself. It does it many times. You take it for granted, right? When you cut your finger or sprain your or stub your toe, you don't go to the doctor. Of course not. You just count on your body to heal itself. If you've been told you're bone on bone or arthritis pain, your body just needs a little assistance. More, Bruce, they're in your blood. So they withdraw your blood, they re-inject it at strategic intervals, and that gets you. They'll tell you whether you're a candidate for the therapy, but only if you take the consultation. 380-204, 380-208-4544, 380-208-45. See Kinetics. So I've been thinking about at the Battleground Talkers Tour at Genoa. Get your tickets at 9890answer.com, $5. And before you get out to talk, like you have to make an entrance, right? So I was thinking about my entrance, and I thought maybe I'll come out like Tim Walz. Maybe I'll come out like the person who just got picked to be on the price, jumping around, waving my arms everywhere. Sorry, not going to do that. And then I thought, well, the mood. We could play the. That's what we could do. We're not going to, but we could. Here's Kamala yesterday. Now, what are you picturing when I say Kamala at a town hall? She's sitting between her and Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney's supposed to appeal to Republican women who are on the fence about whether to vote for Kamala Harris. Liz Cheney, yes, the same Liz Cheney, who was the of the prime time dog and pony on Donald Trump's January 6th. That Liz Cheney. The Liz Cheney who lost her primary, a sitting U.S. Congress. This might be a record. She lost her primary in deep red white. The daughter of a former vice president of the United States lost her primary 40 points. By 40. Wow. She's sitting next to Kamala yesterday. And imagine if those two, Harris drinking game, drinking every time Kamala says something you've heard, 30 that is fingernails on a blackboard, 2 pieces of styrofoam, annoying. Hear it again.
What people are, we cannot despair.
Drink.
You know, the nature of a democracy is such that I think
drink.
And there's an incredible strength. Democracy is intact. An incredible strength in what it does to protect and rights of its people.
Drink.
There's great strength in that.
Drink.
It's very fragile.
Oh, drink again.
It is only as strong as our willingness to. And so that's the moment we're in. And I say, do not, in a democracy, as long as we can keep it in our democracy, every individual has the power.
Drink.
To make a decision. And so let's not feel powerless.
Okay. So be so inebriated we can't go through the rest of our day. In case any of you were taking me literally, I'm going to sit in 3 seconds into a 2-minute and 22-second rant. She sounds like the late Foster Brooks, who made a life a drunk at celebrity roasts. Man. Stupid. I heard someone today say, I don't think she's dumb. She's really dumb. No, she's stupid. She's dumb. There's nothing up there. Conviction. And you know how you know she's stupid? If you're going to formulate your president around 2 themes, we're not going back, I'm a new way. You would think the first thing you would check off your list of able to articulate is how you're going to be different than Joe Biden. She twice in the same day, The View and with Stephen Colbert. Then she whiffed on it. And if you think, well, it's just because her staff hasn't prepared her, Bruce, they no doubt have an answer. And then, you know, maybe they just haven't shared it with her, or like we know from her is given a briefing book and she doesn't read it. Maybe she just hasn't read it. But I bet her staff has a really, 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 really good for how she's going to be different than Joe Biden. Well, let's ask Corinne Jean-Pierre.
We've seen it interview after interview. For her to set in terms of public positions from President Biden, does she have a green light, or does she required to be a loyal vice president to President Biden?
I disagree. I mean, the interview, you've seen a incredibly strong, very clear-eyed, and I have said to you, and I was saying to you, I have not seen that.
She's not strong, clear-eyed vice president, or she's not seeing the empty-headed the rest of us see every time Kamala Harris comes out and starts talking about duality and democracy. Oh, and it's very strong. She is an utter moron. Now, Karl Rove, of course, is a political analyst, the man behind George, I think Bush the Elder as well. Here he is on whether permission. This was the supposed rumor, correct? That, you know, Kamala's going to take over for Joe, but Kamala's not going to. Joe's going to be nice and fall off the cliff, and, you know, the country is a dead president. But Kamala's allowed to criticize Joe Biden. So does Kamala Harris need permission to criticize Joe Biden? Fox News analyst and former GOP strategist, probably still GOP strategist, Karl Rove.
His call to make. It's hers. She has to make the decision. And if it's left up to him, he's frankly, you know, of two minds. On the one hand, he wants to have her win. And it's sort of like, you force me out, and if she's defeated, then maybe I can sort of peace and knowledge that maybe I could have won. And anyway, it's, look, we're talking about to focus on what she thinks is best for her, and not worry about hurting his feelings. Only satisfaction for him ultimately should be whether she wins or not. But White House, his press secretary, his attitude, and her attitude are all muddling this thing up. It is about, do you want to have more of the same, or do you want change? And to the degree that this is about more of the same, then with 2/3 of the American people thinking the country's going in the wrong direction, she's headed for defeat. The only way she can run against that is to say, I'm my own person, I've got a different vision.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have a different vision. And that's the real reason why she can't answer the question. It's not out of allegiance to Joe Biden. What about Biden's allegiance? I'm going to ask the question tonight on stage. If Biden had his druthers, would he rather her win or Trump win?
For the news, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Tropical storm Oscar is chugging its way toward the Bahamas after making landfall in Cuba as a Category 1 hurricane, killing at least 6 people there. By the end of the day, it should be out over the open water of the Atlantic. Former President Trump paid a visit to Asheville, North Carolina on Monday to tour the devastating.
Might have thrown you for a loop there, but I think that's a legitimate question to ask, because I'm not sure. Biden's an egomaniac. He's mean. He's nasty. He was belly aching to Barack Obama a couple of days ago at Ethel Kennedy's funeral about I'm a stronger candidate than her. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he gave him his druthers secretly, because he wouldn't say it publicly, of course. I'm not sure what he would say.
The White House press secretary, I'm not even really certain what she was saying there, but the candidate has got to find a way to say, yeah, I'm my own person, and yes, there would be things that I would do differently. And let me tell you about the candidate has got to.
If you spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold. by texting the word prepare to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text prepare to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold.
He's the voice of a new generation, willing to fight for what's right in the greatest country ever conceived. He's Charlie Kirk, and you can hear him weekdays from 6 to 7, and again 11 to midnight on your station for news, opinion, and passion. 98.9 FM, The Answer.
ProView Remodeling, Ohio's #1 choice in sunroofs, windows, doors, decks, siding, porches, basements, baths, and remodels. Call ProView Remodeling today and get 25% off or 60 months, 0 interest. That's right, 60 months, 0 interest. Call or text 7 days a week, 614-756-3140. You win with ProView Remodeling, 614-756-3140. Check us out at ProViewRemodeling.com.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Limited time left. Are you ready to seize a unique investment opportunity that could save you in taxes for 2024 and help you secure your financial future? Goldman Sachs predicts oil to remain in the $70 to $100 range. So why not invest in the uptrend now? That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you are an SEC accredited investor with at least $100,000 in liquid assets, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's exclusive projects and a significant tax write-off for 2024. But hurry, there's limited time left this year to benefit from the incredible tax incentives. Imagine nearly 100% of your investment being deductible for 2024. Don't miss out on this limited time opportunity to create monthly income for up to 20 or more years to come. Call 800-278-7455 now and connect to a knowledgeable Encore Energy representative. Encore is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call Encore Energy now at 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer. Anywhere you go with The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
Oh, the prices at MyPillow. Wow, are they fantastic? Now, I got to tell you, honestly, they are so much lower than I paid for my original MyPillow that I'm still sleeping on and sleeping comfortably on. And I'm not jealous. I'm happy for you that you get the discount. I'm happy that you can pay less than 25% of what I paid for one MyPillow. But, you know, you got to be jealous of me a little bit because I've had 8 years of great sleep on my MyPillow, and you got to wait for yours to arrive in the mail. But hey, got to be some consolation that you pay less than $15 for a standard MyPillow or $25 for a queen MyPillow or a king MyPillow. What about mattress toppers and Giza dream sheets and towel sets and slippers and slides and even coffee? You will not know all the great bargains that you can find at mypillow.com until you go to their site and plug in my promo code Bruce. That gets you the lowest pricing. mypillow.com promo code Bruce. That's mypillow.com promo code Bruce. The jury selection for Columbus Police Officer Adam Coy was to continue this morning. They think they might have a jury seated by this afternoon. Adam Coy, of course, the Columbus police officer who shot and killed 47-year-old Andre Hill on December the 22nd, 2020. The city has already settled with Mr. Hill's family for $10 million. There are certain protections afforded police officers, but in this town with a jury of peers where they are ratcheted up to hate cops and we have ridiculous prosecutions of cops. I don't know whether Adam Coy was justified in shooting Andre Hill. And none of you know either, by the way, because you're not sitting in court. But it certainly looks like a much more suspicious shoot than that of some of the other officers, most notably Jason Meade, the officers who went to the apartment house of the guy who slugged his pregnant girlfriend and mom, wouldn't come out of his bedroom, sent a canine in, bark, 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 2 a.m. His roommates wouldn't even tell the cops whether he was in the room or not. He wouldn't come out. They opened the door in the dark. He gets out of bed. He's got something in his hand and they shot him. That's a stupid prosecution. They had every reason to believe that he was dangerous because he didn't heed their warnings. And then, of course, the ridiculous Blendon Township prosecution of the woman who was engaged in a criminal shoplifting enterprise with her friends and had her kids with her in the car and tried to run over a cop, and he shot her to preserve his safety. And they're prosecuting him. So this city never tires of paying out ridiculous sums of money to people who have not complied with officers' orders. And I don't know if that applies to Andre Hill or not. I will say this, I've said this before, say it again. Andre Hill's family has shown remarkable restraint throughout this process. They're not out doing a bunch of crazy press conferences and screaming, yelling, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. And we certainly hope that justice is done in that case. Speaking of justice, there are some stories that really shock you, and then there are other stories that you go, could have seen that coming a bazillion miles away. New York Post breaking news. The ex-CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, Mike Jeffries, and his business associates have been arrested in a sex trafficking probe. Wow! Smack me in the mouth. Who would have known that Abercrombie & Fitch, if you've ever walked past a store and seen the borderline pornographic advertising images that they project on their store walls of teenagers, who would have ever guessed that the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, ex-CEO, would wind up in a sex trafficking investigation? Man, I'll tell you, there are just some things that you just can't see coming. And then there are others that you see coming from 1,000 miles away. And this is one of them. Now, one of the things that Kamala Harris did not see, and the Democratic Party did not see, coming from 1,000 miles away, is that when they shoved Joe Biden into the blender and Kamala Harris came out as the candidate for the Democratic nomination for president, they figured, hey, we got the intersectionality queen here. We will get the black vote. We will get the female vote. We will get the Indian American vote. We will get the Jamaican vote because her dad's Jamaican. Well, they're getting a lot of that. They're getting the women vote for sure, but they're not doing great with black voters. Now, this does not mean that Donald Trump is going to win the black vote. He is not going to win the black vote. He's going to get absolutely crushed in the black vote if you just look at it in a vacuum. But if you look at it in terms of the historic black vote, Donald Trump is going to do very, very, very well. Here's a poll from Georgia. And in Georgia, only 3 in 10 black men say they are supporting Kamala Harris. In fact, it's less than that. It's 28%. 59% of black men support Trump. Wow. This is why he now leads in Georgia, 47 to 43. It's the University of Georgia Public and International Affairs survey poll. Okay? So, Harris is doing okay with young voters, leads by 10. Donald Trump is up with 18 to 29-year-olds. No, I'm sorry, the age cohort where Harris leads by 10 is 30 to 44. Well, I guess those people don't want to buy a house or have no need for groceries or gas. Trump is up with 18 to 29-year-olds, 45 to 64-year-olds, and with senior citizens. Now, what's really notable is that even among the black population overall, not just men, I gave you the men number, heavily for Trump, but overall, more undecided voters between Harris and Trump exist this month than they did when the survey was taken last month. So you know what that means. That means that more people who were going to vote for Harris, or excuse me, more people who were undecided, it means more people who were going to vote for Harris have now joined the undecideds, because the undecideds in the poll shifted from 12% a month ago to 18%. Okay, so that's all good. Well, let's bring it down. Who cares about the demographics in Georgia, Bruce? Let's bring it right down here at Ohio. Okay, we can, courtesy of Selena Zito, who you hear a lot on the Hugh Hewitt Show. Heard 6 to 9 a.m. here on 98.9 The Answer. Selena is a recurring guest on Hugh's show, and Selena's specialty is, let's say, Pennsylvania, Western Ohio, West Virginia, kind of the hardworking blue-collar people. Well, Selena Zito recently was right here in Columbus, Ohio, and she talked to a woman named Barbara Clark. And Barbara Clark, Selena Zito says, is a black female who has been a registered Democrat for almost all of her adult life and voted for former President Barack Obama twice. Mrs. Clark, or Miss Clark, tells Selena Zito, I didn't just vote for him. I was a community organizer for Barack Obama and for Acorn. Acorn, which is, of course, was one of Obama's major get out the vote initiatives. And then Barbara Clark says this to Selena Zito. After we got Obama the first time and nothing happened, nothing changed, I said, whoa, what's going on here? And the local Democrats told me they won't let him. Interesting. But Barbara Clark kept waiting, and Obama was president from 2012 to 2016. And she voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, continuing to think that, maybe I just haven't given it enough time. Get a third straight Democratic administration, that'll fix things. But then by 2018, Barbara Clark noticed that her life started to improve with Donald Trump in the White House. And so then she thought, you know what? I'm going to start getting involved with the Republican Party. And in 2020, she worked for an outside group to get Donald Trump reelected. Now, Trump, of course, did not win that. Clark says she's not working for Trump anymore, but she tells Selena Zito that she spends her days talking to her black neighbors, explaining to them why Donald Trump is a better choice for their lives than Kamala Harris. Here's her quote. Our community, what we're concerned about is if we can buy a loaf of bread and some gasoline to get to work. Gas was so high, you just couldn't make it. And these last 4 years, I was like, oh my goodness, you go to the store with $100 and you come out with literally one bag, maybe a bag and a half. Now, GOP consultant David Myhall has been looking at the numbers, and he says this: the Democratic Party depends on their voters to disregard results and policies and only vote identity. Bingo. Bingo. David Myhall, from his mouth to God's ear, says, I believe voters are smarter than that. I think they are starting to realize that Democrats think that they are stupid. Yeah, they do. They do. Oh, you couldn't vote for Donald Trump. He's mean and evil and awful, and he's spreading the politics of fear. This is an interesting perspective coming from a party that says if Donald Trump is elected, he will send the National Guard and the military out to hunt you down in your house. Well, that wouldn't scare anybody. That complete fabrication of what will happen if Donald Trump is president, well, that wouldn't scare anybody, Bruce. The Democrats are not engaging in fear. Nope, of course not. So we shall see if people like Barbara Clark make a difference. Ohio's going to go red. But if this mindset transcends Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, people who are tired of waiting, being promised things and not getting them, we'll see if that manifests itself on November the 5th.
theater, lost on a mountain in Maine. Well, Catan, treacherous terrain, takes a whole day. We're gonna hike it. We need to stick together. Where's the horn? The true story of a 12-year-old boy lost in the wilderness for 9 days, lost on a mountain in Maine. In theaters November 1st. Lost on a Mountain in Maine. Tickets at lostonamountain인mainemovie.com.
Far too many veterans who served our country honorably are now homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. Glenda Williams is a U.S. Army vet who faced homelessness along with her 5 children. She was struggling to keep up with her rent and basic living expenses. She lived in a dilapidated apartment with rodents, mold, broken windows, broken electrical appliances. Well, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation's Homeless Veteran Program provided Glenda with not just shelter, but a safe and secure environment where she and her children can thrive. Glenda has since returned to school to pursue a degree, and her children are excelling in their studies. Imagine what it means to be a veteran like Glenda, to know that people like you were there to make sure her family had a safe and stable home and a solid foundation to build a new beginning. For Glenda's family and so many others like them, friends like you make all the difference. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers. Go to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org.
Quick question. Did you know that the conservative news and talk content that you're currently enjoying on this station and online is supported by advertisers? Here's another one for you. And this one is for our business audience. Are you aware that our loyal listeners eagerly engage with our advertisers because they know that these advertisers share their values and care about our programming as much as they do? Listeners, tell your favorite businesses about us. And business owners, contact us today to create and implement strategies that drive people to connect and engage with you, helping you grow and experience the value of long-term loyal customers. Join with us today to continue spreading the good word.
To learn how to reach our audience with your business's message and support this station, contact Carolyn Cassidy at 614-318-0401 or click on the Advertise With Us banner at 989theanswer.com. That's 989theanswer.com.
I know what your question is. You want to know if it's too late to get tickets to come to the Battleground Talkers Tour tonight. Your schedule just freed up, or you put it off to the last minute. You're like, wow, is it October the 22nd already? Yes and yes. Yes, you can still get tickets. And yes, it's October the 22nd already. So tonight at Genoa Christian Fellowship in Westerville, the Battleground Talkers Tour was here 2 years ago when J.D. Vance was a mere senator, a Senate candidate from the state of Ohio. Now he's the sitting, well, he's not the sitting. I hope he becomes the sitting vice president, but right now he's just the Republican nominee for vice president. What political superstars could you get an up close and personal look at tonight that might be of much greater gravity and depth in 2 years? You won't know unless you are at the Battleground Talkers Tour. I'll be there with Mike Gallagher, Hugh Hewitt, and with our own Jack Windsor, and with Frank LaRose, our Secretary of State, Attorney General Dave Yost, Ohio Auditor Keith Faber, and of course, our headliner, future Senator Bernie Moreno. So go to 989theanswer.com. Get your tickets. See you tonight. Now, as the run-up to the November 5th election gains momentum, we, of course, concentrate on what's Donald Trump doing today? What's Kamala Harris doing today? Kamala Harris taking the day off. She's following the lifestyle strategy of Joe Biden. I don't know. Is she going to fly to the beach in Rehoboth, Delaware? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope I do not want to see Kamala Harris in a bathing suit. I don't want to see her. I don't want to hear from her. She's taking the day off. She's going to sit for 2 taped interviews. I'm sure they'll be inexorably difficult for her. Donald Trump is in Florida and North Carolina. Funny, I thought he was failing. I thought he was not able to handle the rigors of campaigning. She's taking the day off, and he's out and about. In fact, right now, Donald Trump is in Miami, Florida, and he is talking to Hispanic voters. And I've lived in Miami for 1.5 years, and I can tell you that I had the good fortune to work with many Cuban Americans. Guys whose parents had fled Castro's Cuba, and they had nothing good to say about the kind of people that don't love America because they gained opportunities. No, I'm not going to say hopes, aspirations, and dreams like Kamala. They gained opportunities here that they never could have had in Cuba under Castro. And so those people are staunch conservative Republicans. They like the foundations of America. They like the vision of our founders. Kamala Harris, of course, does not articulate that. And so these are Trump people, and a growing number of Hispanics who came here legally in particular do not like illegal immigration because they waited in line, they did it the right way. And then you got people who cut the line, or they don't even get in line. They fly into the country and they're given temporary protected status, which is to say permanent status, and they're handed gift cards and a bunch of stuff that none of those people who fled from Cuba were given when they came here and just worked hard, buckled down, and made something of their lives. So here's Carlos Jimenez, a Republican congressman from Florida, on the Hispanic vote.
I think the Hispanic community is coming home. I think the GOP holds many of the values that we Hispanic hold dear, and we're about family, we're about faith, we're about hard work, we're about freedom.
No, the Democrats are about none of that. You know that for sure. Now, I know I threw some of you for a loop earlier when I said one of the questions I'm going to ask you, Hewitt and Mike Gallagher, tonight on stage, I might throw them for a loop too, is if Joe Biden were given truth serum. I mean, we have to give him truth serum because if we want him to tell the truth, he's incapable of that on his own, right? He's proven that with 50 years in politics, where he's lied from beginning to end. He's been a serial plagiarist, a serial liar. I didn't know anything about my son's business dealings. No, nothing. No, don't know anything. Sure, he rode with me on Air Force 2 to China, and I don't have any idea what he did while we were in China. Never asked him on the way over or on the way back. By the way, did you know the withdrawal from Afghanistan was an extraordinary success? That's what Joe Biden has said. So he's been a liar ever since he first appeared on the public stage. So we have to give him truth serum. But if we gave him truth serum, we said, Joe, it's totally in your power. We could speak his language. He could whisper it. It's totally in your power. Who do you want to win the presidential election? Now, you might think that's a stupid question. You and Mike might think that's a stupid question. I don't think it's a stupid question. Here's why I don't think it's a stupid question, okay? So we had the evidence the other day at Ethel Kennedy's funeral, Biden and Obama talking to each other in the New York Post. This is, they're a rare newspaper, which is actually like spending money to do things. I used to work for a really good newspaper. Now it's a really lousy newspaper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. And it became a lousy newspaper when we started prizing wokeness and political correctness over actual reporting. And now it's just a train wreck. And it's dying, and the Columbus Dispatch is dying. And I've told you, when they die, I'll be dancing. There'll be Costco cake to celebrate when both of them go under. But we had the Obama-Biden thing, and the lip reader said, Biden goes, I'm a stronger candidate than her, and Obama goes, I know. So what does that tell us about Joe Biden? He's still salty about being run over by the Obama, Pelosi, Schumer train, okay? Joe Biden still has the fresh wounds between his shoulder blades of the Obama Ginsu knife collection. So he's barking at Obama, and Obama's like, I know, it wasn't my idea, but whatever. Okay, so we know that. And what do we know about Biden? Just generally, what do we know? He's an egomaniac, and he's mean, and he's petty. We've seen his flashes of temper before. We saw the dark Brandon speech from the steps outside Independence Hall in Philadelphia. And he knows he beat Trump. You tell me, will he ever be able to let go of the embarrassment of being shunted aside, embarrassment that increases every single day as he sees this empty vessel out on the campaign trail, running for an office that he holds, and that he will tell himself he would continue to hold because he's such an egomaniac that he didn't believe the polls, and he hung in and hung in and hung in and hung in until they plunged the Obama Ginsu knife collection between his shoulder blades. So I think, first of all, he does not believe, and none of the Democrats believe, that Donald Trump is Orange Hitler. They say it, but we know their capacity to lie. If the Democrats really thought Donald Trump was Orange Hitler, would Chuck Schumer have been at the Al Smith dinner in New York the other night? Good-natured, sitting there, taking it from Trump. As Chuck, good news, Chuck, if Kamala loses, you can still be the first female president, given how your party looks at things. Yeah. Would Chuck Schumer have been there? No, of course not. They don't think he's Hitler. We know this from a New York Times report earlier in the year where they're like, well, yeah, that's kind of what they're saying. But, you know, how else are we going to get our base fired up? I mean, have you seen who we're running for president? So I don't believe in his heart of hearts Joe Biden is 1,000% all in invested in Kamala Harris being the president, because he's a very old man. He's a very bitter man. He's a very delusional man. He's a senile man. And so all of this is just performance art. Him saying, Trump's a threat. By the way, if he really thought Trump was Hitler, would he have put on the MAGA hat when he was out in Pennsylvania campaigning? And the guy was like, nah. Biden's like, well, what do you want? Put the hat on. And Biden put the hat on, right? So at the very least, he's very conflicted. What is Joe Biden more concerned about? Is he concerned more in the next 4 years that the United States is going to become a fascist republic and Donald Trump is going to send the military to people's homes to incarcerate them? Or is Joe Biden more concerned about, I don't know, his personal political legacy? Historians will say, he should have stuck with Joe Biden. He's the only person to beat Kamala Harris. Donald Trump won his way back into the White House because he was running against a weak candidate. What do you think Biden cares more about?
It's finally here. Fine Home Furnishings, Polaris location's grand opening. Dive into a world of premier American-made furniture featuring the best brands and endless customization options. The grand opening event offers special deals and a chance to transform your home with furniture as unique as you are. Don't miss out. Come celebrate. Fine Home Furnishings, Polaris Parkway. Fine Home Furnishings, OH.com.
Are you buying?
All right, that'll do it for this first hour of the show. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Let Magnetic Springs Bottled Water Company deliver